Those recount numbers indicate that the People's Progressive Party Civic has won 33 seats in the National Assembly, the APNU plus AFC 31, and the Join the Parties 1 seat. In terms of the regional, there's also a majority for the People's Progressive Party Civic. And in the plurality of the votes renders Mohammed Irfan Ali the president of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. That declaration has just been made, and I understand it's on its way to the Chancellor for her action.
Did you see at the Commission any discussion? I know in usual the Commission meets openly and make a declaration inviting the press. Could you say if anything of any press conference subsequently, given all the issues that would have arisen over the 5 months?
Well, as you know, the person who is responsible for calling the press conference would be the chairman. And it will be trite for me to say here again, I don't speak for the chairman, but I believe that will be in the chairman's discretion.
What do you make of your fellow commissioners distancing themselves from this declaration?
Well, it's their prerogative, and I'd want to say it's their last hurrah in terms of standing up against the figures that were generated. Even as late as this morning, they attempted to relitigate issues that were already dealt with and pronounced upon by the courts. But I guess what they do, and that's they perhaps have the best reasons in their minds.
And what do you make of the CEO saying that there were still issues like airport impersonation, but he was following the directive of the commission and still made this declaration using the result?
I have objected to that. My objection is on the record. At the end of the day, all of this has to be dealt with in an elections petition. You have seen the release from the Ministry of the Presidency that today the President has acknowledged that there is nothing to stop this declaration, and that all of their concerns has to be raised in the election petition. That was the same position that was there in 2015.
And your objection was that it should be raised
in an elections petition. Thank you very much.
Could you say what went on in the meeting after it was reconvened this afternoon?
Well, the report was presented. The 3 government commissioners raised their objection, and they walked out. We proceeded. Their walking out was their voting against the motion, and the declaration. I can't say for that. I can only tell you what happens here.
Looking back over the last 5 months, your thoughts?
5 months later, I believe that this could have been done 5 months ago. 5 months, probably short 2 or 3 days.
What are the lessons being learned here by Guyana as a country and by the Commission, you being a commissioner?
Well, you've clearly had severe dereliction of duty by several members of the Commission, by several members of the staff, and I believe that will be an issue that will be dealt with at a employment level at some time later.
Can you say if Mr. Mingo is still employed by GCOM?
I wouldn't be able to say that. Thank you.
expected to meet again anytime soon?
We have no invitation for that. Thank you.
Would you support the discontinuation or continuation of the charges against the Chief Elections Officer?
I would prefer
the fact that things have now basically been concluded.
I would prefer to withhold comment on that at this point, because the matter, of course, is sub judice. Thank you.
That was Mr. Says Ganraj, one of the opposition-nominated commissioners, who basically iterated what we would have said earlier, that Mr. Irfan Ali has been declared president of Guyana, and so the chairman, according to Mr. Says Ganraj, the chairman of the Guyana Elections Commission, Justice Claudette Singh, has since informed the Chancellor of the Judiciary, and I guess that would pave way for Mr. Ali to be sworn in officially as president. As it is now, he's president-elect. The results, the declaration was based on the recount data, and so the Chief Elections Officer in submitting his report to the Elections Commission, indicated that due to the numerous irregularities and cases of voter impersonation, the election results do not reflect the true will of the Guyanese people. However, he was merely following the instructions of the chairman of the Guyana Elections Commission to submit a report based on the certificates of recount generated during the 33-day national recount, which was conducted in May, June, and ended early on in June. And so this has brought 5 months of legal battle, 33 days of a national recount over that was overseen by the Caribbean community. And so I think that there were about 5 cases that were filed at all 3 tiers of our judicial system. You had first off Mr. Riaz, the late Riaz Holidar, who first moved to the High Court challenging the first set of declaration made by returning officer Claremont Mingo. And so the court at that time had ruled that Mr. Mingo did not comply with Section 84 of the Representation of the People Act. And so he was ordered back to go and do another tabulation of the statements of recount. And that was done, I think, on the 13th of March. A declaration was made. That declaration, in effect, was never set aside by the court. Although there were attempts by Mr. Holidar and the leader of the opposition, Mr. Barrett Jacdio, to have those declarations set aside. However, and then there was a contempt case filed, and that was withdrawn. And then you had the Ulitamore case challenging the national recount, the move by GCOM, and at that time they had announced on the 13th, I think the 13th, the 14th of March, that the, GCOM would have going to proceed with a national recount. And under the supervision of the Caribbean community, the court then again ruled that while GCOM could use Section 22 of the Elections Law Amendment Act to facilitate or to remove any difficulty that they may have to allow for free, fair declaration based on credible count, but they could not have had a recount done under the supervision of CARICOM. I think then there was the Eslyn David case treating with what Article 177(2)(b) of the Constitution mean, and whether there should be an insertion of the word valid votes, more valid votes cast, and that would allow for the determination of the presidential candidate and the winner, overall winner. The courts, and including the Caribbean Court of Justice, would have ruled that challenges to cases of irregularities or voter impersonation must come by way of an election petition. And so that came from the High Court to the Court of Appeal and then to the CCJ. And the last case, I think, was the Messenger Jones case, which the High Court as well as the Court of Appeal rule that any challenge must come by way of an election petition in accordance with Article 163 of the Constitution. And so we've spoken to both sides of the commission. The government-nominated commissioners have indicated that they will distance themselves from any declaration made declaring Mr. Ali president, since they believe that the recount order, or the 60, was ideally meant to determine a final credible count. And as the CEO would have indicated, due to the mass irregularities, they could not have determined such. The opposition-nominated commissioners, they're somewhat satisfied. We spoke to Mr. Sayes Gunraj, and we have not heard from the chairman of the Elections Commission, but we did got a message from the public relations officer, Ms. Yolanda Ward, who would have indicated that Mr. Ali has been declared president of Guyana, president-elect. Based on the results, the PPP secured 33 seats in the National Assembly. The Partnership for National Unity, Alliance for Change, secured 31 seats. And the joiner list, there are some small parties, I think ANAG being one of them, secured 1 seat based on the number of votes they would have accumulated. I'm Svetlana Marshall, coming to you live from GCOM headquarters. And so stay tuned with us. Please pick up a copy of the Guyana Chronicle tomorrow for a greater insight as to what happened today, for all of the reactions. So do pick up a copy of the Guyana Chronicle. We'll try to get reaction from various sections of society, and we'll try to bring those live as well. Do have a pleasant rest of the day.